The good thing about social media is it's a great place to find movies, okay, like movies you've never heard of. The problem is that majority of the films that you'll find will usually be kind of okay, but every once in a while you find something that is genuinely interesting and also ends up having like brilliant cinematography.
I dreamed a scene from a movie I saw years and years ago. It made a terrible impression on me. I never saw the end. I left before it was over. It was called Blood on the Moon. No, the Footprints on the Moon.
So, Footprints on the Moon is an Italian film from 1975 directed by Luigi Bazzoni. It stars Florina Balkan and the cinematography is done by Vittorio Storaro. So, if you don't know the name Vittorio Storaro, because even I didn't know the name, but I was aware of the work that he has done. So, he was the cinematographer on Apocalypse Now, The Conformist, The Last Emperor, to name just a few. So he is one of like those all-time great cinematographers, and which is what sort of genuinely makes this film, because it does have an intriguing enough plot, but the cinematography sort of really takes it to a completely different level. So, plot wise, the story revolves around this woman named Alice, played by Florina Balkan. And she's an interpreter working in some institute or organization. So, one day she goes to work, and her boss is really angry with her because she's been missing for the last 2 days.
You interrupted your translation and left without telling anyone.
That's not possible. I was here yesterday.
Yesterday, the last session of the conference on astronautics, Miss Chesby, was held on Monday. So we are speaking of 3 days ago, not yesterday.
But she's not aware of it at all. So she's like, I left early on Monday. And she says, yeah, but then where have you been for the last 2 days? So she's like, no, today is Tuesday. She says, no, today is Thursday. Like, you left early on Monday and then you've been missing for the last 2 days and you're showing up now. And she has no idea that she's been missing for 2 days. So she gets fired, naturally, because she's been missing for 2 days. So when she gets back home, she finds like this postcard in her garbage dump, and it's a postcard of a hotel called Hotel Garma in Garma, like a place called Garma, and she has no recollection of ever being there. So, because now she doesn't have a job anymore, she decides to get on a plane and go to Garma. And when she gets there, apparently a lot of people already know her, except that they know her by the name Nicole and not as Alice. So now Alice is starting to get a little worried, like what exactly is happening? Are these people trying to trick me? So the movie is mostly her trying to figure out like what exactly is going on. So she meets like a young girl over there and who's like, yeah, we spent time together and you were really nice, but you had like red hair and she's got short black hair.
Your pin says Alice.
My name is Alice.
That's not true.
Oh, what is my name then?
Nicole. And I'm Mary.
Nicole.
Everyone knows her, but she has no recollection of this. And they were like, yeah, you were here on Tuesday.
But I thought I saw you the other day, Tuesday.
Tuesday?
Yes, on the beach around noon. I caught a glimpse of you from the shore road. I turned on to say hello, but you'd already gone.
And so she's sort of getting increasingly more paranoid about like what exactly is happening. And that's the whole film. So the great thing about the movie is that it does like a fantastic job at building up this whole sort of, paranoid situation for her. And Florina Balkan does like an amazing job at, playing this woman who is getting increasingly sort of lost and like panicking about everything. And then to that you add like the excellent cinematography by Vittorio Storaro, and you end up getting a film which is truly sort of, one of its kind. Because it's very hard to sort of pin this movie down. It's a psychological thriller, but it also has like these sort of weird sci-fi elements in it. Because what happens is, towards the beginning of the movie, Alice sort of talks about this sci-fi movie that she's once watched. It's about an astronaut who is stranded on the moon, which is where the movie gets its name from, like Footprints on the Moon. And she has like recurring dreams about this astronaut on the moon who is being observed by this scientist who is played by Klaus Kinski. Like he just shows up in those dream sequences.
You must attempt Operation Alpha on the next one's brain to totally neutralize his emotional circuits. Have you found the next guinea pig?
We'll find him, Blackman.
And so she continuously has those dreams, and you kind of wonder like where that is leading up to, which sort of, towards the end it sort of all ties in together. But even the movie actually even starts with that. Like when the movie opens, it's like this black and white footage, and you see like the lunar landscape, and like a shuttle lands and someone drags out like the body of an astronaut, like he's unconscious. And then the astronaut sort of wakes up, and he's sort of like wandering around and runs away. And then like Alice wakes up. So it's sort of like a recurring thing that keeps happening throughout the movie, which also sort of adds to her paranoia, because now she's unable to sort of distinguish between what is real and whether this whole like moon thing and Dr. Blackman watching her, like all of that stuff is sort of starting to prey on her mind. And because of the cinematography, they're able to build up this environment where she's sort of increasingly sort of more and more isolated. So what Vittorio Storaro does is he keeps the frame sort of really wide, and she's sort of always either alone or with just one other person. So she's very sort of alone and lonely throughout the movie.
I rushed out of the booth and left the building by one of the side doors.
The film is shot in like two places. Like the opening takes place in Rome, and then all the Garma stuff is shot in Turkey. I'm not exactly sure where. It's like a beach town in Turkey, and with like absolutely beautiful architecture. Like Hotel Garma looks really nice. And then towards the end, she ends up with this one man who's trying to help her, and she ends up at his house, which is like this huge mansion, and it's lit up very nicely. Like it's sort of like it's very empty, but it's like all the night stuff, it just like bathed in blue light, and you just get like these patches of orange light. It's lit up like absolutely wonderfully. Like there's a shot where you get like these two sort of parallel sort of circular staircases going up with like a doorway in the middle, and that is like all just lit up in blue. It's wonderfully done. So from that standpoint, it's a film that sort of really stays in your mind. Like if you're somebody who likes cinematography, or even if you don't, like it's the great thing about like nice cinematography is that it sort of always stays with you.
Yes, of course. I'll be keeping. Alice? Alice!
So the other thing that the film does, and this might or might not be intentional, or it might just be like the print that I got. So if anyone else has seen Footprints on the Moon, you can let me know if this actually happens in the movie or not. Is that it's an Italian production, but it's in English. But every once in a while, the dialogues will switch over to Italian for like a couple of dialogues.
What's the time?
It's 9:30. No, it's even later. It's 9:45.
Oh, God, I have to turn in a translation at noon, and I'm not finished yet. Where are you calling from?
The airport.
Sai, questi nuovi jet sono una cosa incredibile. Pensa che 3 ore fa stavo ancora a casa. Senti, quando è che possiamo vederci? Ho un sacco di cose divertenti da raccontarti.
Well, I can't make it this morning.
The thing is, I really need my typewriter, too. Is yours ready yet?
I have to pick it up today.
Like let's say like 99% of the film is in English, and every once in a while, like I think there are about like 3 or 4 scenes where it'll suddenly just sort of switch over to Italian for like a few dialogues and then go back to being English. I don't know if that is on purpose. Like the director said, okay, like we're just screwing around with the audience, so might as well screw around a bit more. So whether that's on purpose or maybe there's just an issue with the dubbing where they forgot to dub a couple of dialogues, because that would be strange because it's in between scenes. Like she's talking and then suddenly she'll start talking in Italian, and then 2 dialogues later she'll go back to talking in English. So it's very strange. But yeah, I don't know. Like if someone else has seen this movie, just let me know if this is actually a part of the movie or just like the print that I downloaded had some issues with it. I have no idea. But overall, I would like if you're someone who likes psychological thrillers, I would sort of highly recommend the movie. Like firstly, great performance, very interesting story, and like absolutely phenomenal cinematography. So if you can find it, you should definitely watch Footprints on the Moon.